Hello again, and welcome back to Granny Dorothy Visits. Today's topic is prescription for heartache. And the first reading from Wayne Dyer's Everyday Wisdom. And he said, "Death is nothing to fear. It is only another dimension." And from Julia Cameron's Blessings, the quote at the top of the page is from Thich Nhat Hanh. "If you look deeply into the palm of your hand, you will see your parents and all generations of your ancestors. All of them are alive in this moment. Each is present in your body. You are the continuation of each of these people." And this is entitled, "The Blood of Life Flows Through Me." We are not alone. We are privileged to carry in our blood and bone the wisdom of those who have gone before us. We carry their lives, even in the face of their deaths. In each of us survive the lives of those who gave us life. In our children and in our brain children, our own lives go forward. Faced with the loss of human love, I turn to the divine love within me, which can accept that loss, embrace that loss, and carry forward the beloved whom I feel to be beyond reach. God is in me, and I am in God. All that ever was still is. We are a divine energy, a divine life. In our dying, we live again. In our living, we die again. There is no loss which is not a gain carried forward. In my moments of greatest sorrow, I am touched by the joy of having loved. In my times of greatest loss, I am still loved. Love is not lost through loss. It is found more fully. I cherish the love my loss has helped me find." And the last one from Norman Vincent Peale's The Power of Positive Thinking. And this is entitled Prescription for Heartache. "Please give me a prescription for heartache." This curious and rather pathetic request was made by a man who had been informed by his doctor that the feelings of disability of which he complained were not of a physical nature. His trouble lay in an inability to rise above sorrow. He was suffering from an ache in his personality as a result of grief. His doctor advised him to secure spiritual consultation and treatment. So, continuing to use the terminology of medicine, he repeated his question: "Is there a spiritual prescription which will reduce my constant inner suffering? I realize that sorrow comes to everyone, and I should be able to meet it the same as others. I have tried my best, but find no peace." Again he asked with a sad, slow smile, "Give me a prescription for heartache." There is indeed a prescription for heartache. One element in the prescription is physical activity. The sufferer must avoid the temptation to sit and brood. A sensible program which substitutes physical activity for such fruitless brooding reduces the strain on the area of the mind where we reflect, philosophize, and suffer mental pain. Muscular activity utilizes another part of the brain and therefore shifts the strain and gives relief. An old country lawyer who had a sound philosophy and much wisdom told a sorrowing woman that the best medicine for a broken heart is to take a scrubbing brush and get down on your knees and go to work. The best medicine for a man, he declared, is to get an axe and chop wood until physically tired. While this is not guaranteed to be a complete cure for heartache, yet it does tend to mitigate such suffering. Whatever the character of your heartache, one of the first steps is to resolve to escape from any defeatist situation which may have been created around yourself, even though it is difficult to do so, and return once again to the normal course of your life. Get back into the mainstream of life's activities. Take up your old associations. From new ones, get busy walking, or form new ones. Get busy walking, riding, swimming, playing. Get the blood coursing through your system. Lose yourself in some worthwhile project. Fill your days with creative activity and emphasize the physical aspect of activity. Employ healthy, mind-relieving busyness, but be sure that it is of a worthwhile and constructive nature. Superficial escapism through feverish activity merely deadens pain temporarily and does not heal, as, for example, parties and drinking. An excellent and normal release from heartache is to give way to grief. There is a foolish point of view current today that one should not show grief. That it's not proper to cry or express oneself through the natural mechanism of tears and sobbing. This is a denial of the law of nature. It is natural to cry when pain or sorrow comes. It is a relief mechanism provided in the body of Almighty God and should be used. To restrain grief, to inhibit it, to bottle it up, is to fail to use one of God's means for eliminating the pressure of sorrow. Like every other function of the human body and nervous system, this must be controlled, but it should not be denied altogether. A good cry by either a man or a woman is a release from heartache. I should warn you, however, that this mechanism should not be used unduly, nor allowed to become a habitual process. Should that happen, it partakes of the nature of abnormal grief and could become a psychosis. Unrestraint of any kind should not be allowed. I receive many letters from people whose loved ones have died. They tell me that it is very difficult for them to go to the same places they were in the habit of frequenting together, or to be with the same people with whom they associated with as a couple or as a family. Therefore, they avoid the old-time places and friends. I regard this as a serious mistake. A secret of curing heartache is to be as normal and natural as possible. This does not imply disloyalty or indifference. This policy is important in avoiding a state of abnormal grief. Normal sorrow is a natural process, and its normality is evidenced by the ability of the individual to return to his usual pursuits and responsibilities, and to continue therein as formerly. The deeper remedy for heartache, of course, is the curative comfort supplied by trust in God. Inevitably, the basic prescription for heartache is to turn to God in an attitude of faith and empty the mind and heart to Him. Perseverance in the act of spiritual self-emptying will finally bring healing to the broken heart. This generation, which has suffered fully as much, if not more, heartache than people in preceding eras, needs to relearn that which the wisest men of all time have known, namely, that there is no healing of the pain suffered by humanity except through the benign ministrations of faith. One of the greatest souls of the ages was Brother Lawrence, who said, "If in this life we would know the serene peace of paradise, we must school ourselves in familiar, humble, and loving converse with God. It is not advisable to attempt to carry the burden of sorrow and mental pain without divine help, for its weight is more than the personality can bear. The simplest and most effective of all prescriptions for heartache, then, is to practice the presence of God. This will soothe the ache in your heart and ultimately heal the wound. Men and women who have experienced great tragedy tell us that this prescription is effective." And I can actually attest to that. I'm sure that you've all had losses in your life too. I lost my husband, my first husband, when I was 37 years old. We had 3 children. And I lost my daughter when she was 45 years old. That's 10 years ago now. And I would often think, I don't know how people can get through this if they don't have God in their life. I could not have bared it. I could not have got back to living again, enjoying life again, remarried, and enjoying our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren now too. Anyway, I hope for you that if you are suffering, you will turn to God too to get peace in your heart and love. I send you my love always. Bless you, and I'll see you next week.